Hey, welcome to the Revolver Fan First podcast. I'm your host, Christina Rowett, and joining me today is a very exciting guest, Kat Moss from Scowl. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So you're on a pretty big tour right now with Limp Bizkit. You're playing in arenas. You're playing Madison Square Garden in a few days, which is pretty nuts. So what was it? What did you what ran through your head when you first got the call? Like why? Yeah.
I was losing my mind. I was kind of like, is this real? Because it had been a long time coming where Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit had shown interest in Scowl, and we had kind of started talking, and there was like suggestion of touring together, but long before the tour was ever actually booked, scheduled, and then the offer had come. So it was kind of this long wait of like, is this really going to happen? But the initial reaction was like, oh my God, is this real? And then when the dates came rolling in and we started to see, you know, the probability of playing these shows, like being so real, it was like, this is so nuts. It was just so, the whole thing has been like unbelievable for me personally.
Well, it's pretty, it's cool to see people, you know, and I think it happens a lot where people break through with a really strong release and it just connects and everyone's just like, oh, actually, wow, like everyone wants a new band to be excited about, you know, when you get to be that band, that's totally sick. Were they like, you know, the theme of this show is, you know, it's all about being a music fan. Did Fred and the guys kind of, were they what you expected? And I have to say, mad respect to a band that comes out after 20 years and does a record called Limp Bizkit Still Sucks, and it's awesome. Wasn't, you know, like it's fun. It's fun as hell. Yeah.
It's super fun. I really, really love that record. As soon as it came out, like we were all listening to it a lot. So I know all the words and stuff, like, which is cool because I don't always get super attached to a record these days. Like, I'm like very finicky when it comes to that stuff these days, but it's a really good record. It's really fun. It's really cool to see it live. And then everyone's been so nice and welcoming. Like I had no expectations set going into this tour because it's a much larger scale than I've ever been used to. So I had no idea like what to expect of like anyone spending time with us. But Fred is like an incredibly genuine and like nice, supportive individual. And he really loves Scowl. And so it's cool to like go off stage and see him standing side stage, like watching us, like that was sick. Like it's really cool. And it's cool to have those interactions with people who you've like, you know, viewed as kind of like your contemporaries, like people you've looked up to. And, you know, for me, like spent time on YouTube growing up watching videos of and just being like, that's crazy. But now I get to spend time around these people. Like it's still just as crazy.
Yeah. But it's interesting. You know, you've got like your vocal range is really interesting. And even in on that album for him, like, you know, you're mad singers, like you're good at like riling people up and getting angry and like rah, and, you know, having that, like the interesting scope of hardcore vocals, I think is so interesting. And I think people maybe outside that world don't get how many different flavors you can do. Like, how did you, how did you get into that? Like how did you find that?
To be honest, when it came to my vocal style, I didn't have a lot of parameters of like what I wanted to sound like. I just had vocalists that inspired me and I happened to sound like, because that was what was comfortable for me too. So like Ross from Ceremony, you know, the violence vocal style he does, the Rohnert Park vocal style is like a comfortable range for me as well. And like, that's a super inspiring band. Like I love Ceremony. So that was like an early one when we first recorded the Scowl demo. Cole, who plays drums, and Malachi, who plays guitar, at the time they're like, you sound like Ross. And I was like, really? Like, that's crazy. Like, that's cool. I didn't know what I would sound like. I think hardcore vocal are, and any vocals, like there's so much room for like creativity and style, and you know, anyone can do anything they want. And like I kind of went into it like not really recognizing that. in the early days. So I kind of just did what I could because I wasn't like a super first and experienced vocalist. So I just did what was comfortable at the time. And it's grown to this thing that I can now like, I can do some of these like vocal fries and these like longer drawn out like yells and growls and things like that. I really like that growly, like, but I still but I still try to enunciate, you know? So it feels, it's cool. Like there's sometimes like in my experience, I've heard other vocalists and been like, wow, that's so cool. I wish I could sound like that. But everyone's got their own thing going on and everyone's body's different. So like your vocals aren't any different. Like they're your own individual muscles that work their own way and everybody is different. So you're no wonder everyone has a different voice, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's cool. It's cool to see, like, I love like seeing like vocalists and, you know, you're included, but vocalists develop, like, you know, like Greg from Dillinger Escape Plan, who, you know, came out being known for this style. Then he's doing like a, you know, a synthwave project. And now he's doing the Lane Staley parts with Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains, you know, no big deal, you know, no big deal.
So crazy.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of vocal versatility too, because like I love singing. But I never have been confident enough to go out there and like sing until our most recent record where I actually sing like clean vocals on a song. And it's cool watching someone like Fred Durst, for example, who like he raps, he sings, he has like these vocal fries, like he does these like screams that are like really, really well sustained, very talented vocally. And it's cool like having like being around these artists, like also with Orgasm UK, Milky, she has this like really cool voice that it's like super high pitched. I'm just like, how does she even do that? It's so cool. So it's cool to have like these contemporaries to look around at and like see so much diversity.
It's an exciting, like it's an exciting place. Like heavy rock music is a very vital place, and it's like that we've got like 40 years of his like. And it's still alive, sort of thing. What I'm curious, like, you know, like Limp Bizkit, you know, they weren't, I guess, you know, Limp Bizkit still sucks. They weren't always like beloved, like, you know, you know, and new metal is the forgotten middle child of rock history. You know, like it's having a bit of a resurgence now, but it's not like, you know, people like hardcore history, you know, the gods, no one says the new metal gods. That's not as usual. What was your first impression of bands like this in new metal? Because you would have been quite like super young when all this shit happened. Like
absolutely.
And probably came to it but after it happened, I guess. Yeah.
I think early on for me, like I wasn't a young kid that was aware of metal or heavy rock, really. Like I had to kind of figure it out myself. I mean, my mom liked some like metal and like rock for sure that she influenced me with, like Metallica maybe, but to be honest, like my introduction to new metal was like Slipknot. And I don't even know if you'd fully consider them new metal at this point.
I think so. Yeah. Like I think that I reckon like they definitely.
It's like I would in it a bit later in my life, because early on I had this impression that metal was something really, really like scary and or like adult. Like I wasn't allowed to listen to it or anything when I was really young. So later on when I got into it, I was like, oh, this is like way more chill than I realized. So it was like Slipknot and like maybe like Deftones, you know,
the ultimate.
I'm from Sacramento too. So Deftones are from Sacramento. I could not hear about them. They're incredible.
Deftones forever. Like I feel like I was like listening to something recently. I'm just like, why have I not spent so much more time with Deftones? Like, anyway, side note.
They're amazing. Yeah. They're so good. But yeah, so new metal, it showed itself in different ways as I got introduced to metalcore and pop punk, and then later like punk and early hardcore and like hardcore today. And it's got a lot of influence on hardcore. I think that a lot of people like either aren't willing to recognize or just don't, because hardcore is manifesting in like its own thing, but it's so inspired from so many different like subgenres of like punk and metal. Like it's this beautiful clashed thing that just like you have so much like there's so many doors to open when it comes to sound and variety of sound. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't like a huge nu metal head. Like if I like admit like getting into like subculture and things like that. But later on, as I got into hardcore, I started to have a really large appreciation for nu metal. And then like I had like an appreciation for Limp Bizkit, because to me that was like the craziest, funniest band you could listen to.
Totally.
And I was just like, well, that's cool. I like that, you know? So it's funny in hindsight being on tour with that band. Like,
dude, it's
I really like it. It's like crazy.
Well, it's crazy. Like they're a part of like all this like Woodstock 99, like some crazy things happen, like, you know, and hearing that. And it's interesting. We had Dana Dentata on this show recently, who wrote a song called Woodstock 99.
That's cool. I love Dana.
Yeah, no, she's great. Like,
she's awesome.
It's like that's a whole experience. What's your take on like stuff like that? Like, I mean,
like Woodstock 99.
Yeah.
I think it's you know, to be entirely honest, like all publicity is good publicity. So, you know, like, and when you're coming from a subculture that's like so based on like something that might be raunchy or makes you question your comfort, like punk music, which is like the origin of a lot of this, like, so the origin of like Limp Bizkit and stuff like that. I understand it, and I don't see necessarily something wrong with it. Like, let's make people question things. Let's make people feel uncomfortable. There's an angle of Woodstock 99 where like specifically where I'm like, damn, a lot of stuff went wrong here. You know, when it comes to safety of the people in my crowd as a band, like if I have control over that, like I want to keep people safe, of course, but it comes down to the question of, do I have control? And a lot of times we don't really have the answer for that, but it's also been many years, and a lot of growth has happened in live music and the way that it can be organized, you know. I actually watched that Woodstock 99 documentary, and I thought it was really interesting because of how often like people do want to blame the artists for something that is a lot of times like out of their limits of control.
Totally.
And coming from hardcore, where it's like we'll have all of our friends at a show and everyone knows what's up. So if we're throwing trash cans and making a mess of the place, like we all know, like, these are my friends here, and like this is my space, so we're gonna make a mess, but we're gonna clean it up, you know what I mean? So there's a level of unspoken etiquette and respect that I think goes into this, that I don't 100% know if everyone in the world has. Well, you know,
you look at what happened with Astroworld and stuff. Like I was watching that, and I was just watching that, and I'm going, I just don't see how that would happen at a hardcore show. I just don't see. I just feel like there's so much more. It's so much. I don't know. I just feel like there's something about like hardcore and this kind of music that it's like it's our music. So why would we ever do anything to hurt it? Why would we ever do anything that would hurt it and hurt each other? Like, okay, people will kick you in the face. Like, you know, you know, there's hardcore dancing is a it's great. It's great fun. You know, it's great fun to watch. I do love, you know, the whole gamut of, you know, and I'm sure you guys have seen some stuff in some, but there's like mad love, I think, in and like we said, there's some etiquette to it. Like for me personally, it always depends on the band that's playing. I kind of have an understanding now, because I have experience, like what kind of crowd they're going to draw. So like a band like Scowl, we're like a hardcore punk band. Like we're very fun. We draw a lot of like two-stepping and side to sides and like kind of creepy crawly, like a lot of like very fun punk mosh styles. Awesome. And then there's a band like Tsunami, for example, a contemporary from the Bay. That's like a heavy band. Like when they play, people are moshing really hard. And for me, as someone who has an understanding of that, I know I'm going to stand on like out of the splash zone, because I have gotten hurt at shows and I don't want to get hurt again. So it's just, it takes a little bit of experience and understanding of like the world you're stepping into in that room. Well, but you're playing arenas like this week. What's that like compared to like a little like club show? That's
so different.
So mental. I'm so, you know, I'm so happy for you guys. Like
it's incredibly different. It's so different because there's a lot more space, obviously, like in between me and the crowd. And when it comes to a hardcore show, like there's a lot of crowd interaction. And they are going to be like in my face screaming lyrics or jumping on and off stage, or, you know, like even if something's going wrong, like maybe part of the drums are falling apart, like someone I know is going to come on stage and fix that, right? These shows, it's different. Like it's very different in that respect. There's security guards standing in front of me, and there's a barricade, and there's subs, and there's all this space. It is really cool because I can't tell you how many times I've played a show on this tiny stage and like bumped into Malachi or Bailey playing bass and guitar, like tripped over something. These shows I have like all this space to play. So it's cool. I get to dance around and like have a lot more freedom in that respect.
Yes.
And it's interesting how I have to speak to a crowd like that versus a crowd of hardcore kids, you know. A crowd at a Limp Bizkit show is like, I have to really convince them to like me. I have to really work them and kind of perform more. Not just when I'm singing. Like I have to perform in the way I speak to them. And it's really fun in that way. Like I'm honestly, after we got the first show out of the way, I'm a lot less nervous for these shows than I would be playing a show with all my friends in the crowd. Yeah. Because it's just people I don't know. And they're just excited. They just want to see Limp Bizkit. So I just have to get them excited for that. Yeah. You know, the order isn't very tall. Yeah. So that's really comforting.
They're already pumped. I've heard some stories. Like one band I spoke to opened for Deftones in Italy, and the crowd, actually it's Dillinger again, the crowd hated them so much they threw an actual chicken leg on the stage, and Greg was so hungry that he ate it. Yeah, that's I don't amazing. Know why I've got two Dillinger stories. Yeah, but random, but you know, like I love it. That's a baptism by fire, and I think it's will like help you develop your stagecraft and stuff. Like absolutely,
I'd say we've gotten really lucky with our crowd, the crowd reaction. The crowd love us so far. We haven't had any negativity. Usually by the end of the set, like maybe it'll start a bit stiff. By the end of the set, people are moshing. You know, they're there to see Limp Bizkit, so they're ready to dance. They're ready to do some crazy stuff. So I don't think Limp Bizkit fans are very like picky or pretentious about the band's opening. Like they're not just Iron Maiden
fans. They're not Iron Maiden fans. They're not going to be like, well, you're not Iron Maiden. It's like, no, we're here to see a band whose last album is called We Still Suck. Like, you know, if you don't suck, we're down. Okay, so we'll go to the first question we usually ask, but I felt like it's kind of a moment, so it's good to get into that, which is, who was the first artist you put on a pedestal?
Ooh, okay. I guess this is a really hard one to answer because I'm thinking of like my very first like favorite band was My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, right.
So probably Gerard Way. Yeah. Because I was just like, dude, this guy is so cool. He's so talented. Like he probably is so smart and like the best person in the world. Like that he has to be the best. Like he's so cool. I've never met him. I never talked to him. I have no idea who he is, but I like what he does. Yeah. And so when I was like 9 or 10 years old thinking about him, I was like, dude, this guy is probably so cool. Like
it's amazing when people can project that. Hey, like I don't know him. He's probably all those things, but it's incredible how much you can get across in your music stuff. Like, So
it's really cool.
You were a little emo kid?
What was that?
You were a little emo kid?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like very like emo scene. Like there was a lot of stuff that kind of like flew over my head at that age that like, but I was very like, when I discovered MySpace, which was like kind of at the tail end of MySpace being cool. Yes. So I was like the only kid in my grade that had MySpace. Awesome. I was
MySpace,
like,
dude, so ethical. You look back and you're like, Tom, what about us? Also pulled the greatest move in digital history, sold it when it was worthless for $500 million to Rupert Murdoch. Shout out to Tom.
It was amazing. Shout out Tom. Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah. So smart. Anyway. Yeah. I mean, I was definitely like getting into my like little emo and scene phase, like in middle school, and walking into my first Hot Topic and just stars in my eyes, like just totally like mesmerized. Like, this is what I want to be. It's crazy.
Was this when did music play? Like, when did you thinking like, actually, no, the second question is, who was the first artist you saw yourself in?
Oh,
which is kind of a different thing, which is more on
that
your,
one's hard.
yeah,
Because
it's like on your level.
I got into, you know, like I said, like getting into kind of subculture of like punk music. Not to say women didn't exist, because they very much did, but like it was hard to feel represented in a way that like I would see myself in, like,
yeah, dude,
entirely. Like, you know, like I loved Gerard Way, I loved Oliver Sykes, I loved those two particularly in my teen years, because I loved like Bring Me the Horizon and My Chemical Romance. But for me to like really see myself emulated, and took some time. I mean, like early on, I like really felt like, younger days was like Gwen Stefani. I was like, she's so cool. She's like, she's got something going on that like I would be surprised if not almost every like femme person I've talked to in like punk didn't also want a slice of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
She's so cool.
It's a, yeah, and she was kind of standalone as well. Like there is like frightfully few women who have, and I was talking, I did a little doco about women in punk and hardcore and stuff with Converge and War on Women. We're talking about how there actually hasn't been that many big women, like bands with women in them that have become huge. Like there actually isn't that many. There's a ton of cult ones, you know, like, you know, but to actually like break through, there's not actually that many. And it really matters because, you know, it's a friend of mine was saying, like, if you can't see it, how can you be it? Like it really matters to go, hey, and women have a certain, we've got our own rage, especially at a time like this in America right now.
Yeah.
There's some rage, man. Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, I think it's cool because there's a lot more women who are like rock leaning, even in pop culture and like mainstream music, that are representing like young women. And I think that is so incredible. Like, don't get me wrong, but like if I was in middle school right now with like Olivia Rodrigo and Billie Eilish coming out, I would have lost my mind. I'd been so stoked on them. I mean, there was Katy Perry and like Miley Cyrus and like a bunch of like mainstream like pop contemporaries, but like they weren't necessarily openly rock leaning like the way that these artists are now. And I think that's really incredible because I think pop culture is like an amazing thing.
And it's circular, you know, like
exactly.
Post Malone wearing his Scowl shirt. Yeah,
dude,
was that mental?
Blew my mind. So crazy. That is probably the craziest thing that's happened to me in the past couple weeks. I mean, one of them. A lot of crazy stuff's been happening, but like that is so cool. I would have never dreamed that. Just like, I don't even know if he listens to us or what, like if he likes us or not, but like that's so cool. Dude, like that's crazy. It's like good.
It's good. Everyone wants a new band to be excited about. You know, I mean, I'm not like brand, like, you know what I mean, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, everyone wants a band to be excited. It's like Amyl and the Sniffers. I'm so proud.
I love this band.
Dude, I'm so proud of them. I interviewed them like maybe 4 years ago when they were playing like little clubs and bars and stuff in Melbourne. And it's just like to watch them go and play like late night TV and be opening for headliners on Coachella. Like, and that's
so cool.
Other women, like badass front women as well. Like just badass, like doing shit for punk and hardcore in ways that hasn't been done before. And that is kind of the cool thing, you know? Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite bands right now.
Oh,
like,
really? Excellent.
And they're so cool. They're just so cool. And like her style is like, dude, her style is so cool. And like, I'm like totally mesmerized. But yeah, like
Australian too. Hella Australian. She's
I know, it's so cool.
And you know why they're named Amyl and the Sniffers?
Why?
You know Amyl, right? It's like a club.
Is it? No, I have no idea.
It's a club drug that they do in.
Oh, is it like glue?
Like a big head. Yeah, kind of similar.
Or like poppers?
Yeah, poppers. It's poppers.
Okay. And that was like my vague assumption.
Yeah.
Because I think someone told me something about that.
She basically said, it's not a clever name, but a bunch of club rats who did heaps of albums. So I was like, it's a funny little. Why are you called Scowl, speaking of?
It's just the first name that Malachi thought of when we were like, let's start a band. Yeah. And it was, we had that conversation of what should we call it? And he suggested Scowl. Like the first name he suggested was Scowl. And I said, that's great. I wanted like a one word, I wanted it to be a cool word. I wanted it to be something that like I think would be easy to remember and that I hadn't really heard around. So I was like, yeah, that's it. It works. And I feel like now in hindsight, it's fit very well with like my vocal style and stuff like that. It's like this kind of like aggressive thing. So
Heaps. It rhymes with growl.
Yeah, exactly.
It's important. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. You're a hot topic wearing scene kid. How do you find hardcore? What's your gateway drug? Who got you?
It took a while.
Yeah.
It took a while. So there was like a lot of time. Sorry, there's a cute little dog in this hotel lobby just barking its head off. I'm so distracted. I'm sorry. Okay, so it took a while because that was like when I was like 11, 12, 13, right? I was getting into that. And then as young people do, going through a lot of different phases with my identity, how I wanted to dress and present myself. And I got really into Tumblr. This is like 2012.
Yeah.
So Tumblr was like really popular and there was like,
sick.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so cool and also really detrimental.
So dangerous as hell, like all the weird anorexia stuff and all the weird, not
so tough. But like it opened me up to this hipster thing. And like hipster, quote unquote, was like this kind of like thing from the early 2000s that had like kind of developed further that I was a little bit unaware of, but only like kind of internet savvy too. And around that era of Tumblr was becoming like very trendy, like with the style, but it was a little bit before like anyone like who I was going to school with, like, or anything like that was interested in that stuff. So I got into like Lana Del Rey and Sky Fiera and, like the Arctic Monkeys and like a lot of this, like kind of like mid 2010s, alternative rock. I got really into that and I still have a huge appreciation for it. Like I love it. Like kind of like the surfy influence that exists, the garagey influence. So like the White Stripes and the Strokes, like stuff like that. I really like it. Love it. So that influenced me a lot at that age. A lot of my early teen years, kind of like 15, 16, 17. I was like really like into this like Tumblr stuff. And I also got into like bands like La Dispute, Touche Amore, The Story So Far, a lot of pop punk and like kind of post-hardcore. So there was like this line I was kind of writing, like very subconsciously unaware that hardcore and punk music was like right there, right? But I was just like one step away for a long time. I was getting really into metalcore, so I was obsessed with like Pierce the Veil, Sleeping Sirens, Bring the Horizon, bands like that too. So it was like this kind of cluster of like being like a pop punk kid, but also like alternative and like so that the way I presented myself and like identified and also the stuff I liked was kind of a mishmash of that, which makes a lot of sense considering the time.
Yeah, totally.
And then around 17 or 18, like I discovered punk music, like actual punk music, through a really good friend of mine that I had made at that age. And they were like all punk. It was all punk. They were like, what
are you doing?
Like, it was like, what are you listening to pop punk and like metalcore for, you know? So it was like, was like the Dead Kennedys and Black Flag and Circle Jerks. And so I was like, whoa,
you
like Cockspur. Yeah, I did. I literally went to school and I was like, what have I been doing with my life? Like, I wish I had the Dead Kennedys and the Misfits when I was in middle school. Like I had no idea. And there was no one around me who was aware. I was like growing up in the hills, like nobody was punk. So it was like my own little secret. And I just like took it and ran. And I also got really into like Riot Girl, and Bikini Kill was like a huge deal for me. So it was like this mishmash of all of this, right? And so like I was really into punk for a while. I was like obsessed with painting my own patches and specking out my clothes and like doing all this stuff. I was like super into DIY ethics. And then I realized hardcore was kind of a thing because I got into Knocked Loose, and that was a big band at the time. I got into like Hatebreed and Incendiary and Power Trip and then Ceremony. And it was like, what is all this? And then I started hearing about local shows. So near me, there was like a band called Drain and Jawstruck from Santa Cruz, and they were touring through like Chico and Sacramento. So I saw them. I saw those bands. I saw this band from Chico, because I used to go to shows there, like local shows. This band called Defy, and just like super meat and potatoes, like hardcore band. So I was just like all of a sudden like just culture shocked, slapped in the face with all this stuff, and I was like, whoa, hardcore.
Yeah,
like I want to know more about this, because punk was cool. I liked punk a lot, but a lot of the bands were so much older than me, and I didn't really connect on the level of being involved, other than like going to big concerts. And again, I was craving this like closer feeling. So hardcore was like that step for me. And I always had liked heavy music leading into my introduction to punk. So I was like, I like punk, but I want something a little bit more in my face, right? And that's how it happened. And it just like developed to where I'm at now, of course. But I got into hardcore, and I started to go to the local shows and discover more bands that like I would have never found out about had the people I started to become friends with not told me, you know. It's just not got entered these spheres. It's a whole spheres.
Educational, like it's like the dream time. It's like this kind of legend. You know, like the guys from Code Orange, they're like, we were like these little Pittsburgh kids, and like all the older boys were like, listen to this, guys, and then listen to this, blah blah blah, and then like there's this. That's kind of beautiful, really. Like I
love it. I think
history kind of goes, and man, hardcore is so vital. Like how many music scenes are as vital and exciting as hardcore is right now? Like it's just explosions everywhere. This is like
I can't compare anything else.
Well, you'd look back in time, like you feel like you could look back in time in 50 years and go, man, those 20s, that was some sick shit. Like that was some real,
I am kind of in like almost scared of how that experience is going to be when I'm older. And I'm going to be like, whoa, that was some serious stuff. Like we were doing some crazy shit, and that was not like done before, you know?
That's the point, right? You want to do some
it
shit,
is.
and that's, you know, I do like your 90-second songs. I feel like you're catering to the average attention span of a generation, and thank you. I appreciate you.
I love it. I can't remember all my lyrics half the time, so this is them being short. It's really helpful. And I think it was really cool also, like, not to toot my own horn here, but it was, I did like I got to talk to Keith Morris from Circle Jerks, and he told me he liked my band because of the fact that we cut the fat and we keep it simple and punk, and the songs are short and under a minute. And I was like,
I feel good. You need to "We're Not Worthy" him. You need to like have a
exactly.
Yeah, it's important.
Exactly.
It's extremely important. Yeah,
I was just like, wow.
That's some, like, going from like being a kid, kind of getting into this, to like getting mad respect from. That's a cool journey, man. Like,
it blows my mind every day. It's cool. It's so cool that the people that I'm like looking up to are starting to recognize my existence.
Looking down and waving. Hey, buddy, what's up?
I'm losing my mind.
Yeah. So... It's a wild time, and it's like, okay, so writing and stuff. So, you know, you look like How Flowers Grow. A lot of your lyrics are very adversarial. Like you're talking against something, like it's, you know, like, or, you know, you're mad, which is how good songs, I'm ridiculous, which is how good a lot of good songs should be. That's, you know, it fire you up, like, and it would fire the crowd up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You have to imagine, like, do you have someone in mind, or is it more like conceptual, or how do you write to, when you're writing a song, like, you know what I hope.
Absolutely. I know what you're saying. It's depending on the song. So some songs are very, very specific, and like up here I'm like, I'm writing about this situation, this person, like, and it's no diss, it's just a creative outlet to get those emotions out. And at the time of writing, like, the record How Flowers Grow, writing all the songs, for the most part, like, I was going through so much different stuff, like friendship, relationship in my life, and like a lot of self-discovery, like self-reflection. It's pretty evident in the lyrics, I think.
Yeah, dude.
I try not to make it too cryptic. Like this is straightforward stuff. Like, but
yeah, you're not
yeah,
gonna write
like
a dream theater.
yeah,
an 8-minute song. Scowl came out with an 8-minute song. It's just grown men gently weeping. No.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? No, who am I to limit your creativity? Keep going. Yeah.
But like, so a lot of the songs I'm talking shit. I'm like, you know, I'm mad. I'm like, dude, like this pissed me off. Like I'm gonna talk shit about it. And then there's songs where I'm talking shit at myself. I'm like, fuck you, like tired of your shit, fix it, like clean up your act, you know. So there's some of that. And then there is some more visceral stuff that's like kind of general speaking, like maybe about the world or about like a general experience. And I hope that people can relate, because a lot of it's very personal, but I hope people are still able to relate. Because like I said, like I don't try to keep it cryptic, but I also try to keep it like simple, because I find that that is the easiest way for me to write. And I find that if I don't think too hard about it, like keep it simple, like I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm not trying to like, you know, I'm not like trying to do a bunch of big words. Like you know, anyways, so
no one needs
you
that.
Get what I'm saying.
No, but you get, but that's why hardcore's great. Correct.
Yeah.
You know, that's the whole point, right? Like, you know,
yeah.
What kind of skins do you think you've shed? I don't know if that's too abstract, between like the last two releases.
Oh man. I think we've just grown. And like for me personally, like I grew as a vocalist and as a lyricist. So there's a lot of stuff that like coming from the Reality After Reality EP that changed for me a lot, that I learned while recording that EP about going into recording, leading up, like how I need to prepare and what mind space or like headspace I need to be in. You know, to be honest, when we recorded the EP prior to How Flowers Grow, I like had a really hard time vocally recording and with my lyrics, and I kind of procrastinated a lot of it because I just didn't feel like creatively ready almost, which is like unfortunate timing. But looking back, I'm really fond of that EP.
Yeah.
And the time between those two records, I feel like I gained so much muscle, like emotional, mental muscle, and like strength to like go into this experience recording a whole album and being like, here's my lyrics, I stand by them, this is how I feel creatively. I feel confident and also willing to change and make changes, and also compromises, because things always change when you're recording. Things like that. And the recording process for How Flowers Grow was like night and day difference. So I changed a lot, and I went through a lot of shit in between those two releases. So,
like life stuff. Well, life happens. Life happens. It's real. Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
I like, for Scowl was like probably one of the first songs I like confidently wrote. I've written like some songs like randomly as a kid. I like to write poetry. But like when it comes to Scowl, I'll say the first song I wrote was Roots, and that's a song talking about my childhood and talking about like some experiences I had and a lot of anger I had. And surprisingly enough, it's a song that I'm like not super fond of anymore, because I think there's just too much reflection in it. There's too much that I'm like, I've changed so much. Like I don't like singing the song, but we still play it, and it's still like an awesome song. You know?
Sick, dude. Because I'm always like interested, like what the catalyst is for someone going, actually I'm gonna write, like, you know, like, you know, like, were you mad?
Oh yeah, I mean, I had a lot of emotions about that song specifically, and like I said, it's the first song I wrote. And I was nervous because I hadn't really written a song yet, and was kind of like feeling insecure about it, you know, and the fact that like this is not, it's like a vulnerable song, like, so I still feel insecure about it sometimes. But the crazy part is, after writing your first song, is like it being on a release that people are listening to, and like people you know and don't know, your friends and people like your family. So it's a weird song now to me because like my relationship has changed so much with like my family and my mom and dad. So a lot of the stuff that and the rage that that song carries is like really different to me now. So it's interesting to see the growth behind that. And sometimes I feel bad. Like I'm like, oops, sorry, mom. I wrote a song that I was like mad about. So
it's funny. Well, I mean, like that's like the most constant is change. Like people make new music and stuff to do. Yeah. Are you guys thinking about new music or do you
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have some stuff we're working on right now. And I can't like exactly say when and how, but I know for sure like there's going to be some cool stuff by the end of the year that may or may not be out. I hope it's out by the end of the year. We're just still in the early process of it all, and I'm really excited because I feel like on the previous record we kind of opened a lot of doors for ourselves musically. We're a hardcore punk band, but I also think like with like Seeds to Sow being like a soft song where I'm singing melodically, like I think there's a lot of doors open, and I'm definitely going to be doing some more stuff vocally that's different than just growling. I'm excited to see how that goes, and I'm really excited to write new lyrics too, because I'm one of those people, I just get really tired of what I've been doing for a while, and we've had the pleasure and also like the experience of having all this content, all this like musical content from How Flowers Grow for like over 2 years almost, when the record's hasn't even been out for a year yet. So
it's pretty nuts. So I'm always excited like when a band can speak to different things I like in the same band. I'm like, you did the thing I like. I didn't expect you to do that. I was like, you can do that too. That's great. Good on you. You've done all the things. Would you ever do a collaboration or like a split? I don't know whether you've done one before. We haven't done a split or any collabs yet. I mean, we've had features on songs, but we haven't had like any collaborations yet, and I'm very, very interested in that. I actually have like been going through this like musical deep dive lately where I've been really into like hyper pop and a lot more like breakbeat kind of like music, so very different for me, like getting into like producers and talking to people who are like making beats and stuff, and like I'm over here like I want to do a remix one of these days, like let's do something different, like let's do something dancey, like why not, rave on. So you know? Underground rave culture. It's underground rave culture and punk culture have heaps in common.
Absolutely. So I'm very curious to see if that's a possibility that will open up for us in the future. Like just for fun, why not,
why not? Why not just go wherever you can go, you'd like
I think hardcore's in the most creative and artsy place it's ever been also, so I feel like very lucky to be existing in this time and like have so much creative, like this sounds weird, but like creative goo, like so much like stuff to like ready to go, ready out of the artillery. Like I'm like, okay, we can make so much right now. So, and there's a lot of freedom to it. So I'm really excited about that.
Do you feel like the audience is open-minded to it? Like open-minded on another level? I feel like, and I feel like it's a generational thing as well. I feel like it's not like people who are young now are not genre specific. Like that's not a thing. Everyone acknowledges that they're not going to pledge allegiance to something. They're going to, everyone openly admits, we live in a playlist culture and instant culture, like,
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And I mean, when I got into hardcore, I was like really about hardcore. And I think I was getting into it in this time when a lot of people into hardcore were kind of like, I'm kind of too cool to actually admit I like hardcore, but I'm here. Like, so that was kind of a thing. And I was like, oh, that's weird. But I started seeing those people's shirts and I was like, Deftones. Okay. Like, what's like getting into all this different music while also appreciating heavy music. So it's been a really cool process where I think a lot of people have just been willing to accept, like, we like everything. We don't have to prove anything. We are here and we belong here, but we also like Mazzy Star. Like,
yeah,
you know.
Well, if you don't,
so.
I saw Mazzy Star play the Opera House, and and I was like really bummed. I'd broken up with someone. It was just, it was
yeah.
And she played in Complete Darkness, which was hard for everyone because everyone wanted to see her, but I guess she doesn't like performing. So that was a weird experience. Just a side note. Like it's how do you feel? Do you feel comfortable being like, you are the center of attention in a lot of ways, like you are? What is that like? Are you comfortable? Have you always been comfortable with that kind of stuff, or?
No, I've never really been a performer growing up. I mean, I always like wanted to, but I was too scared. I've always been pretty shy. Not shy, like, you know, like once I get comfortable with people, I'm like, let's talk, you know, like we're having this conversation right now. But I get a little bit of like natural social anxiety. When I was a kid, I had a lot of performance, like kind of fear. So yeah, I never thought that I could do this. And before like the first Scowl show, I was like, I don't even know if I can do it. And there's been a lot of those moments, like even like the first show we played on this tour with Limp Bizkit, I was like, am I like actually cut out for this? Like, can I do this? But I did it and it was fine. And now I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like, but there might be another moment, like when we play MSG.
Well, yeah.
Like, where I'm like,
do you know what a spin out that is? Like, you know, I don't need to. Yeah, no, I need to explain it to you. Yeah, do you know? Hey, bro, like, do you know what? Wow.
I'm losing my mind.
Yeah,
like I cannot believe that. But I'm also like, in the words of Kathleen Hanna, who she kind of talks about at some point, she didn't think she could really do this, and she wasn't like a super musical person when Bikini Kill started, and she said she faked it till she made it. And that's like one of the most inspirational things to me. Like, as silly and simple as it is, it's like, if I feel like I can't do it, like I at least have to pretend like I can, and I will do it. You know,
well, it's true.
Like, that's just how it is.
It clicks in. Your body starts to believe when you say the words. You can actually trick it. Who are your foremothers of punk rock and roll? Who are your foremothers? Like, not
my foremothers. Like the woman that
like forefathers.
Okay. This is cool. I like this question. I would say Debbie Harry.
Yeah.
Kathleen Hanna. Gwen Stefani, bringing her back up. And I want to pick one or two more, but it's hard for me to like think. I would say like on a smaller level, like hardcore bands, like I really was inspired by Firewalker, Sophie from Firewalker. I love that band. I just like, there's so many angles to it that I really appreciated and like loved when I got into hardcore. And trying to think, I know there's more, like Poison Ivy from the Kids. Like her style is just so cool.
It's a good.
I could keep going. Like there's so many I appreciate.
Okay, 5 songs that change your life.
Oh man,
just drop
that is a hard one. Okay,
it's cruel to I should warn you at the beginning, but I don't. And
okay.
I just drop it on people, and that's what I do.
Okay, so give me 1 second because I'm really bad at remembering song names. So I'm gonna pull up my Spotify. So 4 songs that changed my life.
5.
God.
Sorry, 5.
5?
I'm an animal.
Okay. Okay, I really have to think about this. This is such a hard question.
It's
okay, so clearly I would say Bikini Kill's Rebel Girl. That's just like such an important song for me. It kind of like definitely changed my life when I heard it the first time. I'm looking at the first punk playlist that like I ever had to like, that was like my introduction.
Did you make it or did someone else make it for you?
Someone else made it for me. So my best friend Grace, who's the person who got me in. Yeah. So definitely probably Amoeba by the Adolescents.
Yeah,
song that definitely changed my life.
I didn't know you were still here. Is Malia still here?
I'm like thinking right now. This is so hard. There's so much music. Oh God, Waiting Room by Fugazi.
Yeah.
That song, it's like every single time I listen to it, it's like the first time I listen to it. It is a perfect song, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then I have 2 more songs, right?
You do. You can do this.
2.
That was actually quite efficient.
I'm like, I have to do this. Okay. Start Today by Gorilla Biscuits.
Yeah.
Gorilla Biscuits really like underrated, changed my life band. Like just, and like, also probably Sick, by Ceremony.
That's a pretty good
and then there's like a bunch of other stuff because I like so much different stuff. Like there's probably like, I know that's enough songs. I'm sorry. I'm like,
right. No one is like, God, I really hate the cat play like mentioning.
Yeah, that likes all these songs.
This is so crap.
Probably also like Howling at the Moon by the Ramones.
Yes.
That song is so good. It's just so good.
Fast.
It's so good. And yeah. God, there's a lot. Yeah, those are some big ones for me.
That's a good thing. There's some good things to look up for people.
Yeah.
What about your aesthetic? Like the whole like where does this come from? What?
I've always like been really into like fashion and presenting myself however I want. So depending on where that fashion inspiration comes from, like whether when I was like a little emo kid, like I was looking up stuff on Google, or when I was kind of really into Tumblr, like that was like super heavily inspiring to me, like Galaxy leggings and creepers, right? American Apparel circle skirts.
Yep. I know.
Or tennis skirts.
I know exactly what you're talking about, aesthetic wise.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a time. It was a whole thing.
Very much. So leading up to now, I've always kind of had an interest and like been swayed, kind of like I do pay attention to trends. I'm very interested in trends, like fashion, and high fashion as well, and editorial fashion.
Right.
I just like that stuff. I think it's cool. So I've always liked it, and so it's played a part in who I am and like how I present myself. And I think it's like interesting, like people ask me questions about it now, like you're like, oh, like where did this come from? I'm like, I just liked it. But like the flowers and the soft imagery, like kind of like around the time that Scowl started, I was like in this phase where I was like really into pastels, like really obsessed with colors and floral prints. So like I go through these phases sometimes. Like right now I'm really into like a more like Americana, like vintage, like kind of sleazy, like Hollywood fashion. Like right now, like I love like animal prints and furs and neons. But so when Scowl started, it was like florals and soft prints. And like, I like Sanrio and like really cutesy things. So it's kind of like affected the way the band's aesthetic exists.
Yeah.
So that's where it came from.
Because you've committed. You're not gonna like go hard right now.
Yeah.
Like I like that you're into Americana. That's like True Romance.
Yeah.
You know, that movie, that kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I'm you know what is kind of trendy right now, and like some fashion corners is like kind of this like cowboy thing, and I think that's cool because I come from a very like I used to work on ranches growing up, so I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm also really into like obviously like 70s 60s like style, like go-go and mod style too. So I try to like clash all of this stuff. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and I'm okay with that. But I also am like, I want to make it punk, you know, so like I have this punk edge to it. So like I said, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. There's certain outfits I look back on, I'm like, like that didn't work, but that's okay.
Cool stage outfits. You do some cool stage outfits.
Thank you. I've been really into like shoes lately. Like I'm trying to like really play up outfits with shoes. I have like go-go boots, of course. I'm like obsessed with those. I have these like checker print shoes and these like cow print go-go boots. Like just like that stuff's really fun. And like, yeah. So
you're a singer in a hardcore
like,
band. Have fun with it. I get excited.
Exactly.
I'm trying to not talk. I get excited.
No, you're fine.
My best.
It's very exciting. You're doing great.
Thank you. So are you. And you're just in what you're doing.
Thank you.
Who do you think is our generation's Kurt Cobain?
Oh my gosh, that is a big question.
No pressure, no question at all.
You know, well, it's hard because if you think of Kurt Cobain in kind of like the way that the people who knew him personally talk about him, like he was kind of a soft-spoken, and I don't want to like paint him as a sad person because of, you know, the way that he's sensationalized.
Yeah.
He's incredibly talented and like creative individual, and he also really was very creative in performance, and that's something that I take a lot of points from, you know, like when I think about it, I'm like, this is someone who like at his core was punk, and like for me, like when I'm performing, I'm like thinking about every little thing I do. I'm like in my head, like I get anxious, I'm like, oh god, I look stupid. This is someone who like fully unleashed, and like it's incredibly inspiring that he did that. So for me to imagine someone who's able to fully unleash like that, but also keep creative resistance through that and like balance the two. Like he's not going full Gigi Allen, right? Yeah. But he's also not a Morrissey. He's not like, or at least in my memory of him, he wasn't pretentious about it. He was very humble, extremely creative mind, like, and it's really hard to compare someone. I'm sorry, I'm drawing this answer out a lot because it's hard to come up with someone, because if I think about it, I could say someone like Lil Peep, like who has I'm a huge Lil Peep fan. I don't want to compare because they both have like tragic deaths, which is heartbreaking. But in some ways, it's like these are two people who like had no self-awareness of how much of a genius creatively they were. Like, and that's like that. I know it's an interesting comparison. Lil Peep and his performance, I've seen him live. He's just having fun. He's doing his thing. So in performance wise, I don't know how much I compare him to Kurt Cobain, but when it comes to the creativity and the genius behind these people, that is like unmatched. Like, I don't know of anyone who could have in their time, contemporaries of those individual artists, who is comparable. So that's my answer. I know it's not the best answer.
No, are you kidding me? It's totally a great answer. It's got like mad depth of, but it's really important. Those kind of artists don't come along very often.
No.
And what you talked, like the humility is the difference.
Yeah.
Humility. Yeah. I don't have any time for artists who walk around going, I'm a genius. At no point in time in the history of art and rock and roll has anyone who said I'm a genius being a genius. That's not a thing.
No.
Geniuses don't do that. They're too smart. No. That's not a thing. Right? Yeah.
I think like I haven't personally met anyone who's been that bold yet. I mean, there's some you could think of like Kanye West. That's someone who like wholeheartedly believes in himself, and for rightful reason. I think he is pretty genius. He's an incredible artist.
Yeah,
I think he's like not on the really talented.
He's not on the upswing, man. It's bad if your best shit's behind you. Sorry, Kanye.
That's a good point.
Sorry, that's cold.
It's okay.
I'll go on record. No one says my thing. It's great. I don't give a shit.
I think, there's definitely people out there who very much believe in themselves, and some people are like, nah, I don't agree, and some people will agree, and that's just art.
Yeah.
But I think humility plays a large factor in how people perceive you, obviously, and also how your art is perceived.
Yeah, it comes across like it's beautiful, because it brings people down. It makes you feel like you seeing eye to eye, sort of thing. Okay, one final question: who would be on your musical Mount Rushmore if you had like 4 faces carved into the stone? I've got a beautiful dream that we're going to do this at like Dolly Parton's formation, and they're going to be sick. Like people say some random people, like
okay. Yeah. I'm going to also look at my phone for this because okay. So actually my background screen right now is Billie Eilish at the Met Gala.
That's awesome.
So she's definitely on that list.
Yeah.
Billie Eilish. I am a huge fan of hers. She's incredible. I love her. I love her so much. Probably Kim Gordon.
You even got the hair. You even got the Eilish reference. Yeah.
Kim Gordon.
Dude.
She's just I'm a huge fan of Kim Gordon.
Yeah.
Um,
Sonic Youth, like what the hell? Oh,
Sonic Youth is like one of my favorite bands of all
have you
time.
read her book, Girl in a Band?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good. And she's like,
it's a great book. And then funny because if you've read the book, Lana Del Rey, I'm going to put Lana Del Rey on there because of how I know she's a very hot topic for a lot of people. She's said a lot of really crazy stuff. But like musically, creatively, like her artistic and like her fashion, like at least in her early career, for me personally, holds so much significance. And then I think finally, this is like a hard answer. Like I'm trying to think of who. Probably I want to say like Gerard Way, just because of how so important he is, or like My Chemical Romance is to my like youth.
Yeah. I love it. And then they get to sing together. They get to perform together. Then they all come alive. Then we get a really good animator to make them all alive.
I love it.
You're allowed to dream, Kat. You're allowed to dream, you know.
Thank you.
It's
a weird Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, it is.
Sure.
But I would so visit it, you know.
I don't know if I'd put Lil Peep on there.
Yeah, maybe he can.
Maybe I'd replace someone with him, but I don't know.
He can float above. He can be like a little air. I'm a ridiculous human being. Cool.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Being awesome, and thanks for joining us on the show. Thanks everyone for watching or listening. You could be doing either, really. This is a Revolver Fan First podcast. This is Kat Moss from Scowl. They're on tour with Limp Bizkit. They're playing Madison Square Garden. Whoa, cool.
Thank you.